What's up, guys? Welcome back. Welcome. Um, I'm a little bit late. Enjoyed some leftover chili for lunch. Hope you guys had a nice lunch. I'm gonna get right back at it, man. I'm gonna keep crushing. I'm just gonna update the word count. Go. We're coming up on that 75,000. I still think we're in line for about 90,000 words. I don't think I'll get up to 100. I feel like the book is hitting its peak now. It's the crescendo. So I think about 15,000 more words, something like that. So that means we probably aren't going to finish today. So I'm kind of bummed about that, but we're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to finish tomorrow, guaranteed. I think I'll stay on tomorrow for as long as it takes. All right. Little relaxing music. Oh, and I didn't forget about that question I want to ask you guys. I'm going to hold off for a little bit, but when I come back, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Need your help with something. Open quote. Leroy, comma, you gotta slow down, period. I don't understand any of this stuff, period. I'm just a detective, not a biochemist. Period, close quote, paragraph, open quote. Yeah, comma, please slow down, comma, close quote. Floyd confirmed, period, to paragraph. Leroy took in a deliberately large breath, comma, and then exhaled loudly, period, to paragraph, open quote. Listen, comma, I can't say that this is what happened, comma, because I don't know. And I don't even think Verdant Pharmaceuticals knows exactly how cerebrum works, comma. But based on what you told me, comma, it is possible that the nootropic caused some not just biochemical changes in these girls' brains, comma, but maybe they also caused some of the brain cells to reveal different antigens, period. Close quote into paragraph, open quote. Dunbar shook his head, comma, clearly still lost, period. Truthfully, comma, Floyd was having a hard time keeping up as well, period. New paragraph, open quote. You gotta dumb it down even further, comma, close quote, Dunbar said, period, open quote. I gotta be able to understand this shit too, comma, especially if it means that we can find out why or how or when these girls got a hold of these drugs, period. I gotta explain it to a judge if we need a warrant, comma, so you're gonna have to start from the very top, period, close quote, in a paragraph. Another deep breath by Leroy, period, to paragraph, open quote. All right, so you know how your brain is made up of tiny little cells, right? Comma, billions of them, question mark, trillions, question mark, close quote, new paragraph. Dunbar nodded and made a face as if to suggest that this was too basic, period, new paragraph, open quote. Well, here's the thing, comma, on the surface of every cell, they have these receptors, comma, think of them as little keys in a door. Locks. Think of them as a lock on your door, right? Question mark. Well, comma, when a particular key, let's say in this case some sort of protein comes by, comma, and if it bumps into a lock and that it fits into, comma, it can then enter the cell, period. Either that, comma, or it can cause things to happen inside the cell, period. You following? Question mark, close quote, into paragraph, open quote. Lock and key, comma, I can follow that, comma, close quote. Dunbar confirmed, period, into paragraph, open quote. All right, comma. Well, what happens is that these locks on the surface of the cells change all the time, period. But here's the kicker, comma. Our immune system doesn't attack our own cells because it recognizes the types of locks that are displayed, period. But if these change somehow, comma, then our body might consider these cells to be some sort of different species, period. It's kind of the way the immune system recognizes bacteria or viruses, semicolon. These foreign bodies don't display the characteristic lock on the outside of their cell, comma, so our body mounts a defense and we destroy it, period. Close quote into paragraph. And now it clicked for Floyd, period, into paragraph, open quote. So you're saying that for some reason the cerebrum causes new locks to come on the outside of the cell, period, close quote into paragraph. Leroy snapped his fingers and pointed at Floyd, period, to paragraph, open quote. That's exactly what I'm saying, period. This has happened before, comma. This is actually, when it comes to cancer, comma, one of the problems is that our body doesn't attack these malignant cells because they express this certain pattern of locks on the outside, period. One of the ways that we're trying to, researchers are trying to develop drugs. So one of the ways that cancer researchers are trying to get our body to help out and attack the cancer cells is by getting them to display on their surface a different type of lock receptor profile, period. If our body thinks it's foreign, it'll kill it, period. This is proven complicated and difficult, comma, but what if cerebrum did just that, period? What if it displayed a certain set of receptors caused a certain set of receptors to show on the outside that the body didn't recognize, ... Or, M dash, close quote, new paragraph, once again, comma, Floyd excitedly spoke up, period, new paragraph, open quote. Or what if it was the... What if it wasn't the body, comma, but the monoclonal antibodies, question mark. What if they were the ones that caused the body to attack the brain cells, question mark, close quote, into paragraph. Dunbar squinted, comma, and for a moment, Floyd thought that perhaps the man wasn't following, period, new paragraph, open quote. What I mean is, comma, what if M dash, close quote, Floyd began, but Dunbar cut him off, period, new paragraph, open quote. No, comma, I get it, comma, I get it, period. But the question is why, question mark. Why would anybody want to do this, question mark, close quote in the paragraph. Why would anybody take cerebrum and these monoclonal antibodies together if they knew that it was going to change their brain, comma, probably permanently, question mark. Open quote. I could think of two reasons, comma, close quote. Leroy began, period, open quote. One, comma, it was all done by accident, period. Or two, comma, they thought that this change would be for the better, period, close quote in the paragraph. Floyd could see confusion on Dunbar's features, period, in the paragraph, open quote. This is just a theory, comma, right? Question mark, close quote in the paragraph. Leroy nodded, period, in the paragraph, open quote. I can't know for sure, period. I don't think anybody can know for sure, period. I mean, comma, maybe if Verdant Pharmaceuticals had finished their trials, comma, something might have come out, period. But that never happened, period. This is only a guess, comma, but it would make more sense that the combination of drugs and the way I described it would make permanent changes to these girls' brains instead of the DMT-like molecule doing it, period. Close quote in the paragraph. Open quote. I still don't get how they would take these by accident, period. It's not like these girls were just thinking about how to, have a good time one Saturday night and decided, hey, let's inject these monoclonal antibodies for treating brain cancer, period. Close quote in the paragraph, open quote. I agree, comma. I don't think that this would be an accident, period. I think more likely they did it on purpose because of the changes they thought they would make, period, close quote in the paragraph. Dunbar screwed up his face, period, in the paragraph, open quote. It's a stretch, comma, but I guess it could work. It's possible, period, close quote, new paragraph. Open quote. Floyd was listening to Dunbar and Leroy play this thing out, comma, but his mind was stuck on something else, period. It had to do with Mr. Madison, comma, but he couldn't put his finger on it, period, in the paragraph. He'd been so upset when he'd initially gone to deliver the news that something had stuck in his mind. All he could recall from delivering the news to the man about his daughter was the emotion on his face, comma, the near violence as he lashed out at the man delivering Floyd, period. But there was something else, comma, something hidden just below his conscious mind, comma, on the edge of subconscious, period, in the paragraph. If only I could figure out what the hell that was. ... New paragraph, open quote. Well, comma, what we know is that Madison was the leader of her group, comma, of the clique, comma, and we know that it was her dad who dealt both in the monoclonal antibodies and this cerebrum drug, period. If there's any connection, comma, it's that, period. Close quote in the paragraph, open quote. Agreed, comma, close quote, Dunbar said, period, open quote, which means, comma, we're going to have to go have another chat with Mr. Madison, period. Unless, ... Floyd, comma, can you give Chase a call, question mark? Maybe she's still talking to him right now, period, close quote. In the paragraph, Floyd didn't answer because he didn't hear the question, period. He was too stuck in his own head, period, in the paragraph, open quote. Floyd, question mark, close quote, in the paragraph. Floyd, exclamation point. Open quote. Yeah, question mark, yeah, question mark, close quote. He said, comma, snapping out of it, period. New paragraph, open quote. I was asking if you can call Chase, comma, see if she's still with Mr. Madison, period. Close quote in the paragraph. Open quote. Floyd nodded and started to pull his cell phone out of his pocket, period, in the paragraph, open quote. Hey, comma, don't you think it's fucked up that Mr. Madison used to be the head of the Verdant Pharmaceuticals, comma, and now he's living in a small apartment building, question mark. Close quote. Leroy asked, period, in the paragraph, open quote. Yeah, meanwhile, his wife and son live in a posh, upscale house, period, close quote in the paragraph. Floyd was hovering over the last digit of Chase's phone number when he looked up, period, in the paragraph, open quote. You mean sons, period, close quote in the paragraph. Dunbar looked at him, comma, confused, period, in the paragraph, open quote. Son, M dash. Mr. and Mrs. Madison had Madison and her son, comma, Peter, period, close quote in the paragraph. Floyd shook his head slowly. Period in the paragraph, open quote. No, comma. I went to Mrs. Madison's house, period. I saw a boy, comma, and another one on the wall, period, close quote. The one on the wall was in a wheelchair or something, period. Meanwhile, comma, the one upstairs looked like he was completely normal, period. Close quote in the paragraph, open quote. I don't know, comma, maybe he had a back injury or something, period. Can you just call Chase, question mark, close quote in the paragraph, open quote. Once again, Floyd shook his head slowly from side to side, period, in the paragraph, open quote. No, comma, they were completely different, period. The boy upstairs in the photograph had dark hair, comma, almost black, period. But the boy I saw upstairs had, M dash, close quote in the paragraph. All of a sudden, comma, it seemed as if the entire room fell deadly silent, period. Even the breathing appeared to stop, period, in the paragraph. Eventually, comma, a hand reached out and touched Floyd on the shoulder, period. He jumped, comma, coughed, comma, and his eyes went wide, period, in the paragraph. Open quote, M dash. The boy upstairs had blonde hair, period. Almost white, period, close quote in the paragraph. It took Floyd and Dunbar both the better part of 30 seconds to catch on to what Leroy was saying, period, in the paragraph. Open quote. Look it up, comma. Look it up, Leroy, comma, close quote. Dunbar said excitedly, period, in the paragraph. Leroy whipped around and started typing madly on the computer, period. Within moments, comma, he'd brought up a small article with an inset picture of a family that they all recognized, colon, Mr. and Mrs. Madison, comma, Madison, comma, and her younger brother, comma, Peter, period. All were standing, comma, and all were smiling, period, paragraph. They only had to read the headline before to realize that they had been right, period, paragraph. That this was no accident, period, paragraph, open quote. Boy recovers from brain tumor. Period, close quote. Floyd read aloud, period. Open quote, holy shit, comma, close quote. Leroy said, period, open quote. This was no accident, period. They gave these drugs to the boy, comma, and I'm pretty sure. Look, comma, look at that, comma. Dash, close quote. Leroy pointed at a particular line on the screen, comma, and underlined it with his nail, period. Then he read it out loud, period, open quote. The combination of a new monoclonal antibody against the tumor combined with a novel and experimental treatment ended up in complete regression of a fatal brain tumor in the young boy, period, close quote, in paragraph, open quote, cerebrum and the monoclonal antibody, comma, close quote, Floyd managed without a stutter, period, in paragraph, open quote, no, comma, this was definitely no accident, period. They gave cerebrum and the antibody to Peter, period, close quote. Detective Dunbar suddenly pushed himself off Drake's desk and made his way toward the door, period, in a paragraph, open quote. Where are you going, question mark, close quote. Leroy shouted, period, in a paragraph, open quote. The man spun at the last second, comma, gesturing for Floyd to join him, period, in a paragraph, open quote. You're right, comma, Leroy, comma. They gave these drugs to Peter, period. But you know what else, question mark, close quote, in a paragraph. Floyd shook his head. Leroy shook his head, period, in a paragraph, open quote. I'm pretty sure that Mr. Madison also gave them to his daughter, period, close quote. All right. What's going on, chat? How long was that chapter? That felt like a long chapter. No, not really. What's up, Trevor, Victoria, Nova? Thank you for the follow, and Vanessa, thank you for the like. Listen, I got a question for you guys. I hope you enjoyed that chapter, by the way. We're really getting into what happened here, and I think you can kind of see what's going on. There are a couple more twists, though, so don't think you know everything. Don't think you know everything, all right? It's a serious question for you guys. I had a conversation just the other day with a buddy, and he asked me how a creator such as myself is dealing with the coronavirus. You know, there's no political connotation here, but he wanted to know if I was going to turn off my music so you guys can hear me. He wanted to know. He wanted to know if writers, creators, that sort of thing, artists, are we going to start writing books, or in my case, writing books where, like, we acknowledge the coronavirus? Are we going to have the way of life of our characters change? Or are we going to have Chase wearing a mask? If I do, I know which one she's going to wear. I'll get it in a second. But the question is, like, are we going to have this social distancing thing? Everything that comes along with that, is that going to be playing a prominent role or a passing role or any mention of it at all in any of my books? Because, like it or not, I just don't believe that it's going to go away anytime soon. So, and my answer was no, but that was kind of my reactionary answer because I just want it to go away. I want to wake up like January 1st and be like, holy fuck, 2020 is done. What a pile of dog shit year this was. But now at least we're back on track. I can, in Quebec, every time you greet someone, you kiss them on either side of their cheek and stuff. Like, we go back to normal, or what we consider to be normal. But the longer this thing plays out, and the more kind of I'm using my analytical mind to look at this virus and the yeah, like the virus, and even if you know you even without just our reaction to the virus, let's put it that way then. And so I was thinking about that. And you know what my question was? The question I have in my mind, Victoria, no, books are an escape from this crap existence. I agree. I agree. They're always gonna be an escape. But at some point, like, look, let's go doomsday here, and let's say that this lasts forever. This is literally how life is gonna be. Not gonna happen. But let's just imagine that in like 10 years or 5 years, like the movies are gonna have to reflect that, right? Like we're gonna have to have. If you see in a movie these people are talking and hugging and sharing food or whatever the case is, you're gonna be like, nah, yeah, whatever. That's not really how life is. So at what point do we acknowledge that and make it, the films that want to be realistic have to take that into consideration? And my question was, that's my question, first of all. So I'd love your guys' input on that. For those who just joined, like at what point should artists, creators, that sort of thing, start creating books with people wearing masks and talking about it and bring it up? And is that something that we should do? And I want your input. But my question really was as a like kind of a rebuttal to that, because I know a lot of like Asian countries, Korea, for example, South Korea, this is kind of their typical life. For a lot of them, they always wear masks, even before this outbreak. There is very little touching in that culture. Let's say, I'm completely generalizing, by the way, and I wonder if I've never read a Korean book. I wonder if that's reflected in their literature. I've seen a whole bunch of Korean movies. The Old Boy trilogy. Is it Old Boy? I think it's Old Boy. Fantastic movies, just awesome. There are three of them, and they all have to do with revenge, and they're really really good, and not in English. So there you go, out of my comfort zone. I love them, but I can't remember seeing anybody in those movies wearing masks. I don't know what kind of population, what percentage of the population in South Korea actually wear masks, but from what I've seen, like a lot of people have masks. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think Victoria, but I don't know that movie. Was that movie kind of about that though? Was that like the crux of it? Like that was they were dealing with this whole social distancing, and that was the premise. Because that's different. I'm talking more about just general, like I'm not gonna write a chase book about COVID, but at one point, 2 years down the road, right before I retire, and is she going to be greeting people, shaking hands, or is she going to be wearing a mask? And is that something I bring up just once, or not at all, or so I'm kind of torn on that. Right now, I have no plans to do it. By the way, I'm just keeping it as is. I would love to hear you guys' opinions on that. I bet now it would be like annoying. I don't for the reason that you mentioned, Victoria. I want an escape from this shit, so I don't want to read a book or watch a movie where people are wearing masks and behaving in the way that we behave, like a completely antisocial kind of existence that is being mandated, I guess. No, I know. I already said, man. Yeah, 1 second. This is the mask that everyone should be wearing. Dun dun dun. Available at authorpatricklogan.live. That's the one what Chase would be wearing for sure, but you know. I think it could lend itself to some comedic moments. Like I said at the earlier stream, this morning. I did see Borat, and they obviously played on that a lot. That was a big portion of it. They must have filmed that movie in like 10 minutes. Literally everything they talked about was very, very recent, within the last 6 months or so. So yeah, there could be some comedic moments about that. Yeah, you'd avoid reading about it. So let's say your favorite author, like I'm just gonna guess that it's me. Let's say your favorite author puts out a book and Beckett's wearing a mask. You'd be like, fuck this. I'm not gonna read it. I'm only asking because I'm wondering how strong people's opinions are. Yeah. Yeah. Again, just to clarify, I'm not talking about books about the pandemic. I'm not talking about books about pandemics in general, or like, whatever sci-fi or thrillers you can make up with COVID as the how she I'm reading your comment here. Yeah, not about the pandemic at all, but I'm just saying about how life has changed or will remain this way or whatever or whatnot. Dude, that blood moon dance was just nasty. You know what's okay? That scene was bad, but that whole debutante thing is creepy as hell. I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna lay it out there. It's just weird, man. It is just weird to me. I mean, you guys probably know I'm not really a fan of tradition for the sake of tradition, especially ones that are non-inclusive and deliberately not inclusive, and a lot of the traditions are that way, and so I just don't like them. I'm inquisitive guy. I like to question everything to the point of annoying everybody, but you can't just tell me something. You can't just tell me something. And it's not to say I don't trust people, but you can tell me something. I just need to know the underlying reasons why. And if to me they don't make enough sense, then I just discard them. It's not as not to, you know. Someone told me one time, you need to, when you make coffee, you need to use cold water instead of hot water. And I was like, oh, okay. And I trusted them because they made good coffee. But I said, well, why is that? They didn't know, so I had to look it up. And the reason, by the way, is because hot water sits in your hot water tank, and there's some shit at the bottom and silt and whatever, and it's not fresh, as opposed to cold water, which comes directly from your, I don't know, your water facility, treatment facility in your county or district or whatever. But yeah, so that whole scene, I'm like, oh my God, what is the point of this thing? This is weird AF, this whole debutante thing. And then the scene where she's trying to become a lady, and she could, Borat's daughter said, I mean, I could do some tricks. Like I can open a beer cap with my blowhole and just opens it up. I'm like, okay. +1 for party tricks, but that whole thing. I know. I agree it's creepy AF, right? I mean, I don't want to shit on anybody's traditions. Like, most of these things are harmless. I just think that stuff like that in general, and I'm just picking that as an example. I don't know the minutia of it, if there's anything to it, but like these things where we're just segregating people, we're just not including people. Same thing with like churches and mosques and synagogues and shit. It's like, it's all just pushing people apart. I don't want to get into that too deep, but anytime you have to be a certain way or look a certain way or be born a certain way or have earned a certain amount of money or whatever they can look, talk, speak, blah, blah, blah. Anytime that is a requirement for entering something, even something like a golf course, and I'm not talking about being disrespectful for the sake of just insulting people. I'm not like that, and I want anybody to be like that either. But I get a little bit of a little uneasy feeling when it's like, oh no, you gotta act this way. You know who that guy is over there? That guy over there. He's a best-selling author. Like, you can't talk to him like that. You have to go up to him and shake his hand and kiss the ring. Bend and kiss the ring. I'm like, what the fuck? Off topic as per usual. Thanks, Anna. Appreciate that. Appreciate the like. So yeah, I kind of makes me feel uneasy. I stay away from those sort of things. The problem is though, like, oftentimes those are the things they have built-in rules, right? And the rules almost exclusively start with like, don't question it. It's like Fight Club, right? It's like, don't talk about it. So if I were to say like, oh yeah, why do you do the debutante thing? Isn't that isn't that segregating people? Isn't that saying that they have to look or act a certain way? What about, I don't know, people who don't fit into that mold and that sort of thing? They'd be like, we just do it. It's tradition, so we do it. Like, okay, well, next topic. Then they get upset. Like, well, why? Why is it tradition? Just do it. Patrick, just do it. Why do you have to be such an asshole all the time? Meanwhile, they're the ones being fucking assholes, am I right? Hey-oh, I'm off on a tangent. Here we go. Oh, Vanessa says if it's her favorite characters, then it'd give in straight away. Victoria says that actress, dude, she's a smoke show too. I was like, who is this broad? And I looked her up. Okay. Who is this woman, this fine actress of a woman? And I looked her up, and she's like some Bulgarian model or something. So, yeah, okay. I'm getting deep here. You know me. I don't hold back. As a whole, though, I got to tell you, Victoria, wasn't a huge fan of the film. I discussed this morning. I didn't laugh out loud. I'll tell you the only scene where I really laughed was after Giuliani. By the way, I must say something in Giuliani's defense. I don't think. Hey, it's your birthday. For real? Well, happy birthday, Victoria. Let's put a happy in the chat for Victoria. I don't think I'd ever say those words. I'm coming to the defense of Rudy Giuliani. But like everyone was bashing him. He says he was just tucking his shirt in that scene. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but everyone was bashing him, and you know, he's a single man. He's been divorced since 2019. He is the woman is of age, of two consenting adults. There's a power imbalance there, which is creepy, and it's creepy. Like let's get it straight here. It's creepy, but there's nothing horribly wrong with that, man. There was nothing illegal. There was nothing that crossed the boundary from creepy to perverted or anything like that. So I got to give him a little bit of a break on it. Yeah, everyone give a happy birthday. All right, good stuff. Yeah. So the only scene that I laughed out loud was when during that scene with Giuliani, when Borat's like the sound guy, and he comes in very briefly, and then he leaves, and that when he meets his daughter in the alley, I looked at his face. His fucking face and hair and makeup, he looked like a fucking caveman. Like, it was just so absurd. So that made me laugh quite a bit. What was the lip? Yeah, I know. It's hard for Sacha Baron Cohen to do anything like that, though, because he's just so recognizable. He just pushes the limits every time. That Moonblood thing, like when it was just her lifting her skirt and kicking her legs, it was so subtle. And then, of course, you knew he was going to take it to the extreme, which he did. Okay, so I think the consensus is not to put COVID things in the book. I get it. I'm with you. That's why my initial response was like, nah, I'm not fucking doing that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be thinking about that while I'm writing books. I want to be thinking about normal things like serial killers and drugs that fuck up your brain so you commit suicide. That's what I want to think about. I don't want to think about social distancing. Who wants to think about that? About a mask, whether you're wearing the mask properly. By the way, with glasses, man, putting a mask on, trying to put a mask on and do shit when you have glasses on. Like, I wear glasses, I would say, half the time. Like, I need them. I'm blind as a fucking bat. But the times that you see me on here with no glasses because I'm wearing contacts, but, like, it just fogs up. I know, first world problems, but, man, it is Terry. All right, guys. I think we need to get back to work. Enough chit-chat. Enough chit chat. Yeah, I have to say that Borat. He one more comment on that. He has this amazing way of slipping things into casual conversation, and he's just enough of an idiot. His character is just enough of an idiot preceding these comments that the person who I'm thinking a lot of this is staged, but the person who is on the other end, receiving end, the person being pranked, let's say, that they kind of just let it slide, right? So if he was completely normal, or if he was over the top, or like just not at all weird, and then he just slipped in shit like golden shower, the person would be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like, beat it. But because he's leading up to that, he's at that perfect balance of just being an idiot. That it's kind of like, okay, he doesn't really mean that, although he does, right? But he doesn't really mean that. So I'm gonna let that slide. I'll be like, okay, weird. And then last point on this is it just goes to show you how averse to confrontation people are in general, right? Like that whole thing when he's at the stupid copy place and they're sending those faxes out. At what point? Ask yourself this question. Answer honestly. At what point would you be like, are you like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, for real? They're gonna kill you, tie you to two like cows, and then feed them turnips and rip you apart. Like, what? Why did the people just go along with it? I guess I just wouldn't be a good person to try to prank in that regard. All right. All right. McConaughey, speaking of all right. McConaughey just put out a book. I think it's the number one book right now on Amazon. His memoirs or something. Here we go. Let's go back to the important thing. The book. All right. Okay, so now we're going back to Chase here. She's having a conversation with our guy Todd. With our boy Todd. And I'm just trying to work out in my mind exactly how this is going to come out. I know what like the conclusion of this scene is going to be. And I know like what. So I usually go into a scene like this one that I'm about to dictate, and I kind of have an end goal. Okay. Just very briefly, there is I know this, and I knew it while I was doing it, and I was like, hey, these guys are gonna think I'm a fucking wacko. But in one of the scenes, I think the previous one, it gets a little bit wonky, and I kind of did this on purpose. But basically, when I needed to go from them talking about the drugs to moving to Floyd, when Floyd was in the house with Mrs. Madison and that boy. Remember I mentioned that would be important? I'll go back and add more emphasis to that for sure. But I needed the transition from the understanding how the drugs could work to the boy and how they're used on him. And I know at one point it was just something that didn't really fit when one of the guys asked. I'll just try to find it real quick. Oh yeah, this one where he goes, where he's like, "How come the husband gets nothing and the wife gets everything?" It came out of the blue, and there was no context to it, and there was no, and I don't even think it was the right person asking it. But I wanted to keep going because I knew this is where I want the chapter to go, and this was the most important thing of the chapter, and so I needed to go there, and I didn't want to stop. So in the editing process, I'm going to switch that up so that it's more natural and so that it happens organically. And so that when I went into that chapter, I needed it to go from how the drugs worked or could work to the boy and that revelation that the boy was being treated with them. So that's what I went in that chapter as the objective. And for me, it doesn't matter so much how I get there. Obviously, I wanted to get there in the most natural and organic. I'm using the same words here, but I think you get the idea. It's for emphasis. It's for emphasis. So it's easier if it just makes sense, but if I can't make it fit in that one moment, I'm not going to stop and think about that for 20 minutes like this. I'm just going to go. And I would do that irrespective of whether or not you guys are watching. Okay, so the reason why I mentioned that is because in this chapter, I do have a place where I need it to go. And I know what like the whole point of this chapter is. I always start out with like an objective to the chapter. But I need to get there. And I'm not really sure how to get there. And so that's why I'm repeating the same thing 10 times over, because I'm stalling a bit. Admittedly. So. I'm still stalling. Hey, I'm like from Russia. I'm stalling so much. Okay. Let's just go with it. Fuck it. Chase moved her red checkers disc over top of one of the black ones and then jumped another black one, period. Then she removed the black checker pieces from the board, period, new paragraph, open quote. You're still good, comma, close quote, Todd said out of the corner of his mouth, period. It was difficult for him to speak, partially because he had his tongue pushed in one side and tried to direct his words out the other side, period. Without much hesitation, comma, Todd took his black checker disc. What the fuck are they called? Checker piece and jumped over one of Chase's reds, period. Even though he grinned as he removed her piece, comma, Chase knew that it was a mistake, period, in paragraph. She could see a move where she could get all the way to the end and get herself crowned, period, in paragraph. But instead of doing that, comma, Chase just moved up one of the checker pieces one spot without jumping over anybody, period, in paragraph. Open quote. How you doing, comma, Todd? Comma, close quote. She said, period, in paragraph. Open quote. Sharon told me that you're doing much better, ... that the well, comma, that you're healthy, period, close quote, into paragraph, open quote. I'm doing great, period. I like it here, period, close quote. Todd wasn't much for words, comma, Chase quickly grew to realize as the man moved another piece, period. But instead of continuing the game, comma, Chase leaned back and observed Todd closely, period, to paragraph. Even though he was in his mid-40s, comma, he had a boyish sort of look about him, comma, both in the way he spoke and the way his general appearance, period. If Chase hadn't known better, comma, she might have put him in his early 30s, period, into paragraph. Open quote. Your turn, comma, close quote, Todd said, comma, his eyes scanning the board in front of them as if trying to play the game out without Chase's interference, period, into paragraph. Open quote. And do you feel okay? Question mark. Close quote, into paragraph. Open quote. I feel fine, period. I like it here, period. Close quote, new paragraph. Your turn, period. Chase still didn't make any move towards her checker piece, period, new paragraph. She was trying to work out a way in her mind as to how she could get the man to open up, comma, to tell her what she really wanted to know, period, new paragraph, which was, comma, twofold, colon, one, comma, how cerebrum made him feel, comma, and two, comma, why he was entered the trial in the first place, period, new paragraph, open quote. Todd, comma, I'm going to ask you a few questions, comma, and it's about a serious issue, period, close quote. At long last, the man looked up, period, new paragraph. Chase was encouraged to continue, period, open quote. Why did you undergo that trial? Question mark. I mean, for cerebrum? Question mark, close quote, in paragraph. The man's brow furrowed, comma, further accentuating his boyish looks, period, in paragraph. Open quote. You know, comma, the drug. Period, close quote, in paragraph. Sharon's words echoed in his ears. Chase's ears, colon. Don't talk about finality, period. Open quote. The man appeared to tense, comma, and Chase herself got ready to stand up and shout the ridiculous safe word, colon, meatloaf, period, into paragraph. But then he relaxed, period, to paragraph, open quote. I met someone, comma, someone who said it might make me feel good, period. That I was a good candidate for the trial, period, close quote. New paragraph. Now it was Chase's turn to furrow her brow, period, new paragraph. She knew very little about clinical trials, comma, outside of what Leroy had taught her and what she knew as basic knowledge and what might have been grazed upon during their FDA briefing for another case, period. But she didn't think that Todd made a good candidate at all, period. Based on what Sharon said, comma, there was a high likelihood that at the time of the cerebrum trial, comma, Todd was suffering from a brain tumor, period. It would make no sense to test a drug like that on someone like Todd, semicolon. Not only would it confound the results, comma, but it would likely render them useless when it came for drug application forms, period, paragraph, open quote. Who told you that you'd be a good candidate, question mark, close quote, new paragraph? The man shrugged, period, new paragraph, open quote. Your turn. Period, close quote, new paragraph. Chase ignored him and asked the question again, period, new paragraph, open quote. Did someone approach you and ask you if you'd be a good candidate? Question mark. Close quote, new paragraph. Todd nodded, period, new paragraph, open quote. Come on, comma. Vanessa, period. It's your turn, period. Close quote, new paragraph, open quote. I know, comma, close quote. Chase said, comma, trying to calm the man down, period. Open quote. I'll finish the game, period. I just want to know why you entered that trial. Period, close quote, new paragraph. Open quote. You know why, comma, Vanessa, period. You know why, period. Now please, comma, it's your turn, period, close quote, into paragraph, open quote. No, comma, I'm not sure I know why at all, comma, Todd, period. I'm not sure, M dash, close quote, into paragraph. The man's face suddenly turned a startling shade of red, period, into paragraph, open quote. Because I was dying, comma, Vanessa, period. Because You and mom and dad wouldn't even talk to me, period, because I was the one who was sick, comma, the one with the brain tumor, period. So when she came up to me and said I might feel better, comma, that there might be some hope for me, comma, of course I did it, comma, close quote. There was some anger in the man's voice that was a paradox compared to his expression moments prior, period, to paragraph. Open quote. I don't mean to upset you, comma, Todd, comma, close quote, Chase said, period. She was looking around now, comma, making sure that there was no orderly standing outside the door, comma, anyone who might threaten to stop this conversation before it got to where it needed to go, period. New paragraph. So someone came up to him when he was sick, comma, and said it might make him feel better, question mark, new paragraph. She didn't know if that was one of the tenets of nootropics, comma, but she thought that perhaps it would fit the mold, period, new paragraph, open quote. And did you? Open quote. Chase took a deep breath, comma, and put her hand on one of the checker pieces, period. She lifted it in the air, comma, and noticed that Todd's eyes were immediately drawn to it, period. Only, comma, she didn't jump over the piece right away, period. She waited for a moment and said, comma, open quote, and did it? Question mark. Did it make you feel better, comma, Todd? Question mark, close quote, in the paragraph. The man suddenly leapt to his feet so rapidly that his legs bumped the table, sending the checkerboard and pieces flying into the air, period, to paragraph. Chase was so taken by surprise by this that she nearly toppled back on her chair, period, to paragraph. Open quote. Of course it did! Exclamation point, close quote. The man bellowed as he stormed over to her, period. Chase pushed her chair back and rose to her feet, comma, the safe word on her lips, period, open quote. Of course it made me feel better! Exclamation point, close quote, in the paragraph. Chase knew that this man, comma, Todd had rage up in him, comma, rage that had been built up over the 2 years of being cooped inside mainland psychiatric facility, period. Rage at never having been visited by his sister, only to be visited by a woman pretending to be his sister, period, to paragraph. Rage because he had a brain tumor, comma, rage because his parents disowned him when he was sick, period, to paragraph. She knew that the man could snap her, could hurt her, comma, hurt her really badly, period. But she couldn't yell that word just yet, period. She had to know one more thing, period, in the paragraph. Even as Todd's thick hands reached out and grabbed her by the collar, comma, squeezing it so tightly that Chase's airway started to get cut off, comma, she managed to get the words out that she wanted to, period, in the paragraph, open quote. Why did it make you feel better, comma, Todd? Question mark, close quote, in the paragraph. The man suddenly leaned in close, comma, his eyes going wide, comma, his breath sour and stale as it filled their nostrils, period, in the paragraph, open quote. Because I saw, comma, Vanessa, period, because I saw it, dot, dot, dot. And it's all real, period, close quote. All right, that gives me some shivers, the shivvies. The shivvies. That was great. That was fun. Yeah, I was debating there at the end how much I'm going to say about that. Because I know, like, look, this is not, there is something to this, and it's all real. Because I saw Vanessa Kane, I saw it. Just fucking with you. But Vanessa, what's the last name again? Vanessa Powers. I don't know why he suddenly became like Bane, but it's all good. But yeah, I was debating revealing the big what they saw, what the girls saw. Remember, the whole thing was about what the girls. Remember, I saw it. It's all real. Whatever bullshit I did at the beginning. I pure stole your name though. I was like, all right, let me see. Boom, Vanessa. Yeah. So I just decided to leave it as that. I think the next Chase chapter, what's gonna happen is that she's gonna be escorted out, and Chase is still not gonna know exactly what was going on. But then she's gonna get a call. All right, let's do this together. We're in this together. No music again. I forgot to press. I forgot to turn it on. So we're gonna do chapter 59. Leroy and Floyd and Dunbar. Actually, fuck it. Leroy's done. Forget it. Leroy Walker. Go back to the gym, Leroy. So Floyd and Dunbar. Oh man, we find out at about 5 o'clock today what's gonna happen on Wednesday when shit's supposed to open up. Well, the government here in Quebec said that the lockdown was for until the 28th, but we'll see. At 5 o'clock, they're going to tell us if it's open, and I'm hoping I could go to the gym. That's one of the weird things about this whole business, like just the decisions that our government is making with respect to what they close down is a bit curious. I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to bring politics into this thing. Sorry, guys. All right. So Floyd and Dunbar are going to go chase down Mr. Madison, and he's going to be running. And they catch him. And they're going to charge him with... Yeah, I have friends that own a gym, and I know that it's super, super tough, man. Super tough for them. I think a solution to that might be along the lines of having you sign up for certain hours at the gym so as to keep the numbers down, or just restricting it. I think there are measures that can be done. Anyways, that's the last thing I'm going to say on that. Sorry. So we're going to charge him with, I don't know, illegally giving drugs to his boy. He refuses to admit any involvement in his daughter's suicide. See. All right, so that is what's going to happen in the next chapter. Then the following chapter, Chase, it's going to be Chase's chapter. Chase is going to be escorted out. She's going to be demanding Todd to tell her what he saw. He goes batty. And then on the way, she's in the process of calling Floyd when Mr. Hendricks, I think his name is, the principal, calls. Chase visits Jimmy. She remembers what. Then speaks to Floyd. This might be too long a chapter, like a lot of shit happened. I always like to make like chapters one scene, as you guys know, which is like usually one location. And I do realize though, in this particular book, there's a lot of fucking driving. Like I think Chase slid behind the wheel like 50 times. She's like fucking Dukes of Hazzard or something. I'm gonna have to change that. All right. Then she speaks to Floyd. Remembers Todd's words. Okay, I'm not gonna finish that because I'm going to I don't want to reveal any spoilers. So those are like the next two chapters, but in reality there'll probably be like 3 or 4 because that's gonna be long. I'll just leave it like that. Visits Peter. And listen, if I can't remember who these people are, then you can't either. I'm going with that. No spoilers. Am I right? Am I right? Uh, 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 uh. Oh, I just remembered something. Um, I just remembered something. I made fun of debutante balls already. I remember that now. You guys remember in one of the Drake books when Hannah, Hannah, who was, she's a chameleon. I think it was Drug Lord Part 2 when Hannah was like, "This my debutante ball," and she was fucking around with Screech. So that was my way of poking fun. Like I do this oftentimes, I guess not just Beckett books. I didn't realize it, but I'm always poking fun at these fucking stupid rituals and shit. This is my debutante ball. Look at me. Oh, I don't have my moon blood yet. I just love how it's called moon blood. Like, that's pretty good. That's something stupid that. Hey, you know what? I'm putting it right here. If I ever write that Beckett book where he's the sex ed teacher, he's gonna be like, in addition to only doing fetishes, he's gonna be all about like not using the proper terms. I know that for sure. And I think I know what his name's gonna be. His pseudonym. This is what Beckett's name is gonna be. I'm gonna wait for it. I want to wait for it. Just read it out loud. That's what Beckett's name is gonna be if he starts teaching the sex ed. So stupid. So stupid. What's up, Rachel? Hope you're doing well. We're just chilling, chatting, avoiding doing any work. Nah, I think we've done a good day so far. Yeah, we're almost at 7,000 words. I promised I'd get to 10,000 today. Ooh, I better push that. I gotta go pick up the kids soon. What do you guys think of the time, by the way? Do you guys like the afternoon one? I haven't done any like quick maths to work out what you guys prefer. Look at the viewership. I think the afternoon does a little bit better. You guys prefer morning or afternoon? And by morning I mean my morning, so it's like 11. 10 o'clock. Never miss it. Never late. Let me know if you guys prefer afternoon or morning, and I can adjust that way. I mean, the only real sticking point is I don't think I'm going to be able to go past like 4:30 just because I have to pick up the girls. I might be able to arrange something with somebody watching, but I got to cook. I got to clean. I don't cook. I don't clean. It's a number 2 WAP reference. I'm getting nutty here. It's that time of day. Gobble me, swallow me. Later, always do the time difference. Yeah. I hear you. I could do something like noon to 4. I could do that. Take some some administrative junk or do some editing in the morning. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I'll crunch the numbers. You like line 1 to 3? Yeah, 1 to 3, but 1 to 3 is not enough time. I got to put in more hours than that. I would honestly like to be doing. I think when I did Straw Man, I was doing some long ass days. That was a bit different though because the kids were out of school. But I think I was doing like 4 or 5 hours. I think I did a couple 5-hour streaming days. I mean, if I could start at like 10, yeah, Eastern. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to work it out. Like I said, you guys know I got 6 books due this month. Hey, I got to break it up into smaller pieces. I have 2 books done. I'm working on this one. This will be done tomorrow. Tomorrow, this book will be done. I got to edit them, and then I got to work right away on whatchamacallit. Already did. Oh, and I'm excited. I'm actually a bit nervous to write the. What? Pretend I'm gonna do work right now. I'm a bit nervous about writing Head Games. Head Games is kind of a standalone about a psychiatrist. So yeah, that one I have like a I don't know if I have an idea. I have an idea for that book. It's gonna be a standalone. It's gonna be super super twisty. It's gonna be like not what you expect. I just don't know like how long it'll be. At this point, like I told you guys on many occasion, I don't really care. But I want it to be a novel. I don't. It's not like a short story or anything, but I might just I might spend the main part of my stream doing Already Dead and then do an additional stream or off camera start mucking about with Head Games. I was super excited about that. You know, one of the things that happens, I think I'm not unique in this sense, but it's called like the shiny object syndrome. So when I have a bunch of projects that are due and a new idea comes along, then I'm just like, ooh, I'm like a fish or something when a lure comes in. Like a fish, you could literally catch a fish, right, with a lure and then let it go, and then you can catch it right away with the same lure. It's like, come on, man. But that's what happens. So I'm like a fish, and I'm like, ooh, that's a shiny new idea. I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get that idea and I'm gonna write it. And then I ordered a cover, paid out my ass for this cover, and then the idea was growing. And then I was like, oh fuck, that book's not due till forever and a day. So then I work on other projects, and I'm looking back and I'm like, okay, now it's not so shiny anymore. It lost its luster. But you know, that's what happens when you're married for 12 years. Just joking. Just joking. Come on, man. All right, I'm gonna try to get through a couple more chapters. I like that little monocle guy. I had a couple. Nah, never mind. I'm gonna work. I'm gonna put the. I'm here. I'm for reals. Open quote. She's not answering, comma, close quote, Floyd said, period. He wasn't sure why there was so much desperation in his voice, because if he knew one thing about Chase Adams, question mark, she could take care of herself, period. Unless, comma, of course, M dash, new paragraph, no, comma, that was the old Chase, period. Not the new Chase, period. She wouldn't do that, period, new paragraph, open quote. Call her again, comma, call her again, god damn it, comma, close quote, Dunbar said as he reached into the onto the dash and flicked on the cherry, period. Dash and flicked. He was whipping through the streets now, comma, moving as fast as he could away from DSLH and towards Mr. Madison's address, period, new paragraph. Open quote, I'm trying, comma, she's not picking up, comma, close quote, Floyd shot back, period. To make his point, he emphasized his point, comma. he put his phone on speaker the next time he dialed their number, period. As with the last 5 times he'd called Chase, comma, it went directly to voicemail, period, new paragraph, open quote. Shit, comma, close quote. Dunbar swore, period, open quote. Hang on, comma, hang on, period, close quote, new paragraph. He took a sharp left turn that sent Floyd crashing into the side of the car, period, new paragraph. Floyd grunted, comma, and grabbed for anything that he could to right himself, period, new paragraph. Open quote. What kind of car does Mr. Madison drive? Question mark, close quote. Dunbar asked as they pulled onto the man's street, period, to paragraph. Floyd racked his brain, period, to paragraph, open quote. I don't know, comma, close quote, he said, period, to paragraph, open quote. Is it a blue sedan, question mark, a Mazda, question mark, close quote, new paragraph, open quote. Once more, comma, Floyd tried to think back to when he'd been here in the first, when he'd visited the, when he'd come to the man's house the first time, period. He couldn't remember a car, comma, but wasn't sure if that was because he hadn't seen a vehicle outside the apartment building, comma, or if he'd just been so distraught at the idea of giving the man the bad news that he hadn't actually remembered it, period, to paragraph, open quote. I don't know, period, close quote, new paragraph, open quote. Think, comma, Floyd, exclamation point, close quote, new paragraph, open quote. I don't fucking M dash, yes, comma, blue sedan, exclamation point, yes, exclamation point, close quote, Floyd shouted excitedly, period. He pointed at the blue sedan that was peeling away from the curb, period. He was positive that this was the man's car, comma, that Mr. Madison was inside, period, new paragraph. Dunbar must have been convinced as well because he hammered the gas and the car shot forward even faster, comma, this time moving Floyd's body weight from the side door to the back of the seat, period, to paragraph. Even though that they were but 20 yards from the man's car, comma, and there were no other cars on the road, strangely, comma. Mr. Madison and his blue sedan did not slow down, period, to paragraph. Dunbar responded by honking his horn in a series of consecutive toots, comma, making sure that even if Mr. Madison was listening to Akadaka on the radio at full blast, comma, that he would know that and was somehow not able to see the flashing red cherry, that he'd know that they were after him, period, to paragraph. But Mr. Madison just kept on going, period. And when he burned the stop sign, comma, not even looking both ways, comma, and when he reached the first stop sign and didn't even bother slowing, comma, Dunbar punched the gas once more, period, new paragraph. Open quote. Hold on, comma, Floyd, comma, hold on, exclamation point, close quote, new paragraph. Even before the man had finished the last part of the sentence, he'd already started the pit maneuver, comma, speeding up to get the nose of his car at the rear bumper of Mr. Madison's sedan, period. Then he pushed it a little harder, rear bumper, speeding up so that the nose of his car passed the rear bumper on the right-hand side, period. Then he wrenched the wheel to the right, comma, effectively causing the blue Mazda to spin out of control, period to paragraph. Open quote, get ready, comma, close quote. Dunbar yelled over the deafening sound of screeching tires and roaring engine, period. From experience, comma, Floyd knew that one of the most dangerous parts of the flip pit maneuver wasn't not executing properly, it was, comma, but executing it too properly, in that you could overcompensate as a driver and send your own car fishtailing out of control, period to paragraph. But it was clear that Dunbar had done this dozens of times before, period to paragraph. He expertly managed to right the vehicle, comma, just as the Mr. Madison's sedan spun all the way backwards, period. There was a hard crunking sound from the man's engine that was audible even above the sound of the horn and tire screeching, semicolon. It was clear that he was trying to shift the car into reverse, comma, but something in the engine refused his command, period to paragraph. Floyd then jumped out of the vehicle even before Dunbar could exit his door, period. He had his gun drawn and was aiming it at the passenger driver's side door just as it started to open, period to paragraph. Inside, comma, he could see Mr. Madison, comma, still filthy, comma, still covered in grease and grime and sweat, comma, tried to stagger out, period to paragraph, but the man was nearly blind drunk, comma, and he took 2 steps before he stumbled and fell to one knee, period to paragraph. Out of the corner of his eye, Floyd saw that Dunbar was already aiming his gun at the man, comma, and for a split second, comma, for a horrifying moment, comma, Floyd thought that the man was going to pull the trigger, period to paragraph. In fact, comma, he was so convinced by this, comma, that Floyd even shouted something at the man, period to paragraph, but the detective didn't shoot, semicolon. He just lowered his gun, comma, and ran towards Mr. Madison, period. They got to him at about the same time, comma, and they wrenched him to his feet, comma, with the man himself giving up little resistance, period. Then Detective Dunbar spun him around and shoved him roughly up against the car, period to paragraph. As he was slapping cuffs on him, comma, Floyd took 2 steps backwards, comma, making sure to control the scene around them in case bystanders were apt to intervene, period to paragraph. But even so, comma, he could hear the words that Dunbar hissed into Mr. Madison's ear, period to paragraph, up a quote. You're under arrest, comma, Mr. Madison, period. You're under arrest for driving while under the influence, period. You're also under arrest for illegally giving drugs to your son, period, close quote, to paragraph. Floyd watched the man's profile closely as he What the? Dunbar said these words in his ear, comma. Dunbar spoke, comma, and sure enough, comma, his eyes widened, comma, but Floyd also thought he saw a hint of a knob. What kind of arrest is this? You're gonna see his knob. A nod, comma, of acceptance, period to paragraph, open quote. You're also under arrest for killing your daughter, period, close quote, in a paragraph. Unlike when Dunbar had mentioned his son, comma, Mr. Madison was not in compliance with this last part, period, new paragraph, open quote. I didn't do anything to her, comma, close quote, he said, comma, his voice and words a complete slur, period, open quote. I didn't do anything to Madison, period, close quote, new paragraph. Dunbar wrenched the man around and started to push him back towards his own car, comma, intent on throwing him in the back seat, period, new paragraph, open quote. I swear, comma, close quote, the man said, comma, his voice rising in pitch, period, open quote, I swear, comma, I did nothing to Madison, exclamation point, close quote, paragraph. By the time they'd reached the car, comma, the man was fully bawling now, comma, wet tears spilling down his cheeks, comma, bubbles of snot coming out of each nostril, period, new paragraph. And even as he was thrown in the back seat, comma, even as Dunbar once again told him what he was under arrest for and started to read his Miranda rights, comma, the man was still pleading, comma, claiming that he did nothing to his daughter, period, to paragraph, open quote, I did nothing to Madison, exclamation point, I did nothing, exclamation point, I swear I did nothing, exclamation point, close quote. All right. Those are the chapters I love, guys. That's what I write for, man. I get in it. I get in it, man. Balls deep right there. Listen, I don't know what happened there halfway through. I started fucking capitalizing every proper noun in that. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be a fucking nightmare. This is going to be an absolute nightmare to edit this shit where I have to change everything. So that's why I logged out for a second and then jumped back in. Dude, that was fun. I know. Not completely legally accurate. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. Not the point. The point is they got his ass, and he pretty much admitted, I mean, not overtly, but he kind of admitted to the fact that he was involved in his son giving drugs to his son. But he's adamant that he did not have anything to do with his daughter's suicide. So who knows? Do you guys know? Was he responsible? Could there be someone else? Multiple people? Multiple peoples? You know who knows? This guy knows. This guy knows. What's the time? What time are we looking at? That was fun as hell, man. I'm telling you, for you guys who are writers yourselves, this is the fun part, man. This is the fun part where you're just rolling, you're rocking, and you're rolling. You're getting a peak of action, some revelation, just pure excitement. I get excited, man. This book like 50 something, and I still get excited every time I write a scene like that. And when I come up with something like this, can someone just read this? This is the guy's name. I'm not gonna read it, but this is Beckett's name when he goes to teach sex ed. I think it's hilarious. I'm a child. I'm a fucking child, man. I'm an immature child. I'm debating whether I should do this or not. I'm not gonna lie either. I'm sweating. This, man. I am hot and schwitzy right now. Windows open too? Oh, I gotta do another chapter. I gotta do it. Sorry, kids. Papa's gonna be late today. Open quote. Meatloaf! Exclamation point. Meatloaf! Exclamation point. Close quote. Chase shouted at the top of her lungs, period, new paragraph. She was surprised about how quickly the orderlies were inside of the glassed-in room, period, and no sooner had they entered than Todd suddenly let go of her and take 2 steps back, period. Not only that, comma, but his entire face seemed to change, comma. His anger and fury and disgust. Being replaced by that same boyish expression, period, new paragraph, open quote. What did you see, comma, Todd, question mark, close quote. Chase asked when she'd finally recovered, period, open quote. What is it that you saw, question mark. What is real, question mark, close quote, in the paragraph. But Todd had already slumped back into his chair, with 2 orderlies, one on each side, standing protectively between him and Chase, period to paragraph, open quote. I think you should go now, close quote. A soft female voice said from behind her, period. Chase didn't need to look over his shoulder to know that it was Sharon, period to paragraph, open quote. Todd, tell me what you saw, period. Please, tell me what you saw, what did you see that is real? Question mark, close quote. Chase was trying to keep the desperation out of her voice, but she was failing, period. She knew that her window of figuring this whole case out, of understanding exactly what had happened to these poor girls was closing, period. New paragraph. Open quote. Vanessa, you need to leave, period. I told you what would happen if you brought up M dash, close quote. Sharon grabbed her arm, but Chase shoved her off, period to paragraph, open quote. Todd, tell me, exclamation point. Tell me, exclamation point, close quote. Chase was well aware that the tides had shifted, that she was the one acting like the inmate now, while Todd was acting the way she had when she first entered the room, calm, cool, collected, period to paragraph, open quote. Tell me, exclamation point, close quote, new paragraph. But Todd wasn't going to tell her anything, period, new paragraph. Todd was just going to sit there, staring at her like he had a affect, like none of this mattered, period, new paragraph. But it did matter, period. It mattered to Chase, period. It mattered to those it mattered to those girls. How did he get it perfect? What's wrong with you, Dragon? It mattered to Vic Horace, it mattered to anybody else who might take this damn drug, period to paragraph. Chase took 2 steps forward, intent on reaching out for Todd, She tried to convince herself that she wasn't going to grab him by the collar, but she couldn't do so without lying, period to paragraph, open quote. Todd, what did it, M dash, close quote, new paragraph. This time when Sharon grabbed her arm, it wasn't a light, friendly touch, period. This time, it was a strong pinch, period to paragraph. And this sharp pain that radiated from her tricep up to her shoulder brought Chase back into the moment, period to paragraph, open quote. You have to leave, period. If you don't leave now, we're gonna call the cops. We're gonna call the cops on you. If you don't leave now, we're going to call the cops, period. Close quote in the paragraph. This time, it took more of Chase's effort to shake the woman off, period. She felt heat rising in her face, and she felt beads of sweat form on her brow, period. She shrugged, knowing that she wasn't going to get any more information out of Todd, not now, and likely not ever, she reluctantly backed up, period to paragraph, open quote. I am the fucking cops, lady, close quote, Chase said with a snarl, period. Then she shoved her way out of the glass room and hurried back through the maze of mainland psychiatric facility back to the front door, period to paragraph. The cool air that struck her in the face was a welcome relief to the heat that she felt emanating from her body, period to paragraph. She'd made it nearly to her car before she turned her face up to the failing sun and screamed, period to paragraph, open quote. Fuck! Exclamation point. Fuck! 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 Exclamation point. What the fuck did you see? Question mark, close quote in paragraph. Chase tore open her door and ripped her cell phone out of her pocket, period to paragraph. She had dozens of missed calls, all from Floyd, as well as numerous text messages, period to paragraph. The last thing that Chase wanted to do right now was to talk to Floyd, M dash. The only thing she wanted to do was to go back to that lady behind the bank, give her another 100, give her another $100, period to paragraph. The phone actually started to ring in her hand, and Chase dropped it on the passenger seat, period, new paragraph. She took one deep breath, comma, and then picked it up and pressed answer, period, new paragraph, open quote. Floyd, comma, I need M dash, close quote, new paragraph, open quote. Mrs. Adams, question mark, close quote, new paragraph. It wasn't Floyd, period, new paragraph. It was someone else, comma, someone who sounded vaguely familiar, comma, but someone whom Chase couldn't quite place, period, new paragraph, open quote. Who is this, question mark, close quote. She snapped, period, new paragraph, open quote. It's Mr. Hendricks, comma, Mr. Hendricks from the school, question mark, close quote, new paragraph, open quote. Chase closed her eyes and sucked in a deep breath, comma, exhaling through her mouth in a long stream, period, new paragraph, open quote. Mrs. Adams, question mark, is this a bad time, question mark, close quote, new paragraph. Bad time, comma, this is the mother... fucking worst time, period, new paragraph, open quote. No, comma, it's fine, comma, close quote. Chase lied, period, new paragraph, open quote. Well, comma, I'm sorry to interrupt, comma, or disturb you, comma. I just wanted to let you know that we got the talk screens back, period, close quote, new paragraph. Whether it was the tone in the man's voice or the fact that Chase already knew what the answer was going to be, comma. It might have been the tone of the man's voice, comma, or just because Chase was fairly confident what the answer was going to be, comma. But when the man paused and then uttered the results, comma, she wasn't surprised, period, open quote. Negative, period. We tested about 15 kids, comma, and all staff members, period. There are no monoclonal antibodies in any of their blood or ours, period, close quote, in the paragraph. Chase ground her teeth in frustration, period. She looked up, comma, and wasn't surprised to see that there were now 2 orderlies standing outside the entrance to mainland psychiatric facility, comma, orderlies who hadn't been there before Chase had arrived, period, new paragraph. There you go again, Chase, comma, fucking things up, period, new paragraph, open quote. Thanks, comma, close quote, she said dryly, period. She tried to swallow, comma, but there was a lump in her throat, comma, that prevented any saliva from descending down into her stomach, period, new paragraph. She was about to hang up before Mr. Hendricks spoke once more, period, new paragraph, open quote. Chase, comma, there's something else, comma, something I think you should see, period, close quote, in the paragraph, open quote. What is it, question mark, close quote, she said as she started up her BMW and slowly started to move through the parking lot and back onto the main road, period, in paragraph, open quote. I think you should see it, comma. Can you come in, question mark, close quote, in the paragraph, once again, comma. Chase sighed heavily, period, in the paragraph, open quote. No, comma, I can't come in, period. I'm sorry, comma, can you just send it? Can you send it to my phone? Question mark, close quote, in the paragraph, open quote. I'm not sure if privacy, M dash, close quote, in the paragraph, open quote. Screw privacy, comma, Mr. Hendricks, period. You got 4 fucking dead girls and 1 dead teacher, period. Unless you want someone else to commit suicide, comma, send me whatever the fuck you've got, period, close quote, in the paragraph. Chase hung up the phone before Mr. Hendricks could say a word and say anything else, period, in paragraph. She thought that perhaps the man would just call Dunbar, comma, complain about her, comma, report her to whatever agency was responsible for special consultants of the FBI, period, in paragraph. But instead, comma, her phone buzzed a split second later, and she saw that Mr. Hendricks had sent her a video file, period, in paragraph. Chase slowed and pulled over to the side of the road while she opened it up, period, in paragraph. It was a short file. It was a short clip, comma, just 15 seconds, comma, and it was grainy, comma, too, period, clearly taken from one of the school security cameras, comma. It lacked audio, period, in paragraph, but that didn't matter, comma. It still showed Chase exactly what she needed to say, period, in paragraph, and when she was done, comma, she threw her phone to the passenger seat, period, new paragraph, open quote. You liar, exclamation point, close quote. She yelled as she hammered on the gas, period, open quote. You lied to me, exclamation point, close quote. Wow, Savannah. All right, that's it. Show's over, people. Yeah, that is super fun, guys. This is why I write. Not because of the sweat. Look at that. Oh, it's horrible. Don't clip that. Not because of anything, but just because of those fun moments, man, when you're writing and it's like
the only thing that's happening is this world that you've created. And it's just so much fun. I had a blast, guys. We're getting there. I could keep going. No, that was fun. I'm going to take a break here. I'm going to be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to finish the book. I got some super big twists planned. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. And hopefully, depending on how much caffeine I consume, I'll get back into this mode. So, listen, if you guys enjoy it, please hit that like button, that share, that follow. Come on, guys. Let's get this thing moving. Thank you so much for the follow, Falcon OWG. Miranda, nice to have you here. Glad you caught the end of that fucking craziness. Zach, thank you for the comment. I'm an animal. Hell yeah, I'm an animal, man. I'm just having a good time. Hope you guys are too. Let's just see your final word count. Hey, I'm going to go with that's close enough to 10,000 words. It felt like 1,000,000 words, to be honest. I could not spit them fast enough. And how about that, though? How about fucking dragon when I'm like, gooly, it fucking hits it perfectly. Like, what's wrong with this thing? Come on. Needs a spanking. All right, I'm out. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow morning. Thank you so much for joining me again. You guys have a wonderful evening. Stay safe. Thanks, Zach, my man. You paid your chat tax. Everyone else here, pay your chat tax, man. Hit the like. It's a free way to help support the stream. I appreciate you all. Have a good day, guys, and I will see you tomorrow.